Yesterday we talked about Google Slides. Is there anyone over here who is already making some money from Google Slides? Is there anyone who is making some money from Google Slides? Yeah? Anyone? Hakuna? One of the things I would like for you guys to know is that it's easy for you to monetize these particular skills. Like, for example, when you learn how to create slides with Google Slides, it's very, very possible for you to create slides for even people on LinkedIn. Like, you can create slides even for yourself. Like, if you even have classes, you can create slides. Yeah. So you can easily get to create slides. And like, if you want to educate people, if you're talking about something, someone is saying they cannot hear anything. Am I audible, ladies and gentlemen? Someone is saying they cannot hear anything. You need to check, huh? Yeah. And then if you're not able to hear me, before you probably comment and say you cannot hear us, maybe just check. First of all, check. Huh? Okay, so in our session tonight, we are talking about Google Slides. Google Sheets. How many people have used Google Sheets before? Is there anyone who's used Google Sheets? Or if you've used Google, all right. If you've used Gantt charts is not what you're going to be covering tonight. That is when it comes to the advanced part of using Google Sheets, all right? This is just going to be a very simple introduction into Google Sheets. Remember, this is an introduction. I'm not audible. Allah. Am I audible, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know. I'm getting a lot of complaints from people. They're saying that siskiki vizuri. I am audible, yeah? Okay, good. All right. Thank you for that. Google Sheets. Someone is saying the voice is lagging. The voice is lagging, and honestly, from my end, everything is check. Yeah. Please check. Before maybe you say that the voice is lagging, check your internet. Check your internet, yeah? Curtis Ogola, yeah? It's your job. Curtis is the only person who is allowed to tell me, Curtis, ukiona I will only respond when you tell me that my voice is not clear, hapo nitaamini, right? Good. The decibel of your voice is good. Hey, decibel ndio nini? What is decibel? Let me just confirm. It's good to know. The decibel. Decibel sounds like what is a decibel? A decibel is a unit used to measure the intensity of a sound or the power level of an electrical signal by comparing it to the given level. Oh. Okay, thank you for that. Nimesikia kama, unajua decibel, it sounds like ni kama unaniroga. I thought unaniambia Chidwe. So I personally, so I had to Google. Huh? So thank you for teaching me that new term. That is Bernard. Thank you, Bernard, for that. At least I've learned a new term today. Decibel. So is my decibel, okay. How do I ask that question now? How should I frame my question, Nani, Bernard? Is my decibel of the sound okay? Or how should I phrase the question now? Yeah? Bernard, now, sasa when introduced to a new term, I want to use it, but I cannot use it in a statement because the voice went up several. Now, okay, is my voice up, down, up several decibels? Like, maybe, if I may ask that question. Am I decibel? Okay. Is my decibel okay? Am I noisy enough? Yeah, that's a nice question. Am I noisy enough? Yeah. Someone is saying zebel. Okay. Is my decibel of my sound okay? If I may ask that question, according to Nani. Good. So welcome to the session tonight. Today we are talking about Google Sheets. How many people have financial problems, if I may ask? How many people have financial problems in 2025? Yeah? You have financial problems. How many people know how to manage their money using something we refer to as Excel? For those who don't know what Excel is, let me show you Excel. How many people have ever used Microsoft Office Excel? Yeah? I want you to look. This is Microsoft Office Excel. I think probably, going back to high school or going back to primary school, how many people used to wait until your results have been pasted, have been printed, yeah? Is having too much money a financial problem? Hey, unatudharau nini? Let me ask, unatudharau ama ni nini? Pauline is saying, is having too much money a financial problem? Wewe unatudharau wewe. You unatutapikia. Yeah? But anyway, no worries. Welcome to the session tonight. Today we are talking about Google Sheets. So, what is Google Sheets? That's the first thing we want to cover. Google Sheets is a free cloud-based spreadsheet program. All right? It is a free cloud-based spreadsheet program. So for those guys who are using Google Docs, if you want to zoom in your document, you just click over here and you can say fit. And it's going to fit like that. All right? So, Google Sheets is a free cloud-based spreadsheet program developed by Google. All right? It allows users to create, edit, and manage spreadsheets online. Okay? It allows you as a user to be able to create, edit, and manage spreadsheets online. Okay? What you can do with it is that you can actually you can use it to enter data, do calculations, create budgets, analyze trends, make reports, or collaborate with others in real time. Okay? Now, in simple terms, Google Sheets is like Microsoft Excel. All right? Google Sheets is like Microsoft Excel. Google Sheets is like Microsoft Excel. But the good thing about Google Sheets is that it is online and you can share it. Okay? It is online and shared. For those guys who are who also have these notes, like if you have these notes, you can actually be previewing with me. I did share the link on the WhatsApp group. So if there is anyone, I think Susan can share the notes again. Yeah, Susan, if you can, please share the notes with the other guy so that we can still continue learning together. So, we are looking at number 2, this tab. We're going to be talking about some of the key differences between Google Sheets and Microsoft Office Excel. So one of the key things you need to know about Google Sheets is the first thing is that it's an online browser. It's used online via browser. You can use Google Chrome. All right. You can also use Microsoft Edge to access it. Chrome happens to be the best, Google Chrome. Now, unfortunately, from Microsoft Excel, it is offline. Or you can also get Excel online. Number 2, storage. Now, all the files that you have in Google Sheets are stored in Google Drive. Now, when it comes to Excel, you either store the files in your local computer or OneDrive. Okay? If you have a computer, if you have a Windows computer, just click on the bar over here and search for OneDrive. OneDrive is like the Google Drive for Microsoft. So this is where you get to store your files. Now, unfortunately for this, I think you only get up to 4 GB of storage. How many people have this problem with OneDrive? All the time that you're getting such, you can see some things like these circles over here because your storage is already full. It's a common phenomenon. Okay? So now, collaboration. Like you see, the good thing about this document that I've created over here is that I can share it with you real time. But when it comes to Excel, it's a little bit of a problem. You might need to have a Microsoft account and all this. But with this, you only need a Gmail account. Okay? Collaboration. Okay? Collaboration. Now, when it comes to collaboration, when you're using Google Sheets, I can even allow you to edit. Okay? Like, for example, I can give Curtis permission to edit this document. So how do I do that? We will still get to that. We'll still get to that in a few. Now, unfortunately, Microsoft Excel, it's limited. All right? The permissions are really limited. We also have something called autosave. All right? Autosave is the function that allows you to just save the files automatically without having to edit them. Yeah? Now, unfortunately for Microsoft Office Excel, how many people have ever probably written a spreadsheet on Microsoft Office Excel? You've written, you've typed, and then unfortunately, the lights go off and you had not saved your file. And then, when you switch it on again, Yeah, it only shows you your heading and the first two lines that you had written. Yet you had typed over 500 names. Yeah, that is one of the biggest problems I have with Microsoft Office Excel. But the good thing with Google Sheets is that it allows you to do auto-saving, okay? Now, Google Sheets happens to have add-ons, and these ones are mostly available on the Google Workspace Marketplace. It's something I want to introduce you to. It's called the Google Workspace Marketplace. So you're going to find so many apps that you can integrate, okay, into Google. Someone was asking about extensions that you can actually get to use. You can get so many of them over here. All right. I have never really gotten to understand most of them, but they are honestly kind of very good, by the way. I haven't really personally gotten to use them. Huh? Yeah. But you can see there are so many. So I've introduced you to something else called the Google Workspace Marketplace. Okay. Someone mute your microphone. One time I didn't mute people's microphone, and where we were in a heated argument with. They were arguing with the wife, and unfortunately, like for us, if you unmute your microphone and you start arguing with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, it's going to be so hard for us to resist. I will not be able to resist myself. I might be interested in hearing what you have to say. I don't know why human beings were wired like that. When people are arguing, you don't even want to know what the problem is. You just want to listen and get a grasp of the drama that is going on. Huh? So let's continue. That is basically add-ons. All right. Now, for example, when it comes to Excel, you probably have to go and access them via the Office store. All right. Excel is still very, very powerful, by the way. Microsoft Office Excel is very, very powerful. But for a beginner, I think most of the time you're looking at getting the free version that allows you to create spreadsheets. And as long as you have a Google account, that is, if you have a Gmail account, you can easily be able to access Google Sheets. All right. Now, for Microsoft Office Excel, you might have to pay a license. I don't know how much these licenses go for. I personally don't know. But sometimes you can buy a computer that already has that. Google Sheets is lighter, more collaborative, and works directly in the browser. Like, for example, if you're collaborating with other people, it's so easy for you to actually get to use Google Sheets. All right. You create spreadsheets. You can be able to create sheets. Like, for example, if you want to track something about your money, it is so easy for you to do that. Okay. So go through the notes. You can actually have a look at this. Talking about automatic saving, cloud-based access, Google Drive. But the most important thing is, how do you get to access Google Sheets? All right. How do you get to access Google Sheets? So accessing Google Sheets is a little bit easy. You can first of all go to drive.google.com, right? You can click on that link. That is drive.google.com. And on the left, you click on this, more. Good, this is Google Sheets. Then you click on Google Sheets. And it's going to open Google Sheets for you. The screen is not visible, ladies and gentlemen. Someone is saying that the screen is not visible. Let me increase the font size. Someone is saying, make sure you don't scroll. Huh? If you scroll, you will not be able to preview the screen. Huh? So make sure you are able to have something. Good. So this is an example of a spreadsheet that we are creating on Google Sheets. Like, if you wanted to start creating a spreadsheet, this is probably the best place for you to actually get started. Now, over here, as always at the top, this is where you name your file. Like, for example, you can say home, finances, spreadsheet. Okay. So let's say you wanted to create a spreadsheet that allows you to manage your expenses at home. You want to track your finances. You want to track your expenses. You want to track the amount of money that you make. You can easily get to use Google Sheets for this. All right. Now, the best thing about all this is we can use artificial intelligence to create the information and generate the information. So let's move on. All right. The next option that is open in Google Sheets is you can open this link, sheets.google.com, and it's going to directly take you to Google Sheets. I mean, it's amazing. Here's a tip that I would like for you guys to know. there is something we refer to as bookmarks. If you're using Google Chrome, you're going to find this star over here. If you click on this, you can bookmark this tab. When you bookmark it like that, and then you click on done, and you come over here, there's something written over here, all bookmarks. You click on that, it's going to be so easy for you to scroll down and see Google Sheets over here. So, unbookmark to remove, bookmark it, and then you say done. If you want it to appear on these tabs, like for example, if you look at this, there's a tab over here. Let me show you something. There's a tab over here. You can see this one over here. Allows you to access quick links. So how do you do that with Google Chrome? You select your link, hover with your mouse like that. And then you drag the link like this. You see how I'm dragging it? Peleka until where you want it. Like for example, I decide I want it over there. So if I come back and click on the plus sign over here to add a new tab, and then I click on Google Sheets, it's directly going to take me to googlesheets.com. Ladies and gentlemen, are we together up to that point? If you want to change from Google Sheets to Google Docs, you click on this menu over here. You can get Docs, you can get Sheets, you can get Slides, you can get Forms. Are we together up to that point, ladies and gentlemen? Perfect. So let's proceed on. So, when you want to create a new sheet, all right, when you want to create a new sheet on a new spreadsheet on Google Docs, on Google Sheets, you click on this big plus sign, this big plus button, all right? So if you click on it, it is going to open something like this. And this is an example of a spreadsheet that is made up of various sheets, okay? Let me cancel this. So if you look at this, there are quite a number of things that we need to discuss about Google Sheets, all right? So first of all, we have a section called the toolbar. The toolbar allows you to bold text, change font, add borders, and insert functions. So if you come back over here, you're going to find quite a number of things. There's a toolbar over here that allows you to do so many things, all right? You have the ability, like if you look at this, you have the ability to increase your font size over here, to make your text bold over here, italic over here. If you want to add something we refer to as a strike through. A strike through is something like this. So if I click on this, when it comes to spreadsheets, this is what we refer to as a cell. C-E-L-L. This is an example of a cell. And if you look at this, each cell has a name. Yeah, this one is cell A1. So if I select this one, you can see already the name has changed. Cell C5. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. Unmute your microphones. What is the name of this cell? Let me allow you to unmute your microphones to scare my job. What is the name of this cell that I've highlighted? And this
F13.
Sasa hiyo hamujui hiyo. When I select cells like this, that is a range. Sawa. I've selected cells E7 to E12. That is a range. Hata sisiki anything. But anyway, and now you get it at least now. Good. So, we also have something we'll refer to as the formula bar. The formula bar is where you put in your calculations. So, what is the formula bar? The formula bar, kwani yangu iko wapi? Here it is. This is where you put in your calculations. It's called the formula bar. Yeah. Then we also have something we refer to as a cell. Now a cell, these are the boxes where you input your data. They're organized into columns A, B, C, and rows. So look at this. So this is a row, ladies and gentlemen. This is a row. This is a row. Sorry, this is a column. I'm really sorry. This is a column. And then this is a row. Column, row. Okay? So cells are organized according to rows and columns. So if you look at this is column number C, and then this is, like, let me highlight this. So to highlight an area, I just need to select that. All right. And then I click on this fill color, and I can add a color over here. Green. And then I select the row. I just click on the top over here, color, and I want to select yellow. So now, if you look at this, like if I select this cell, this is an intersection of column D and row 10. So if you look at this cell, now this one over here, this is a cell. This cell is called D what? Unmute your microphones now. This is
D10.
perfect.
D10.
Sawa, that's enough. That's okay now. So that is D10. Now, what if I selected this? Let me change the color over here from to this, and then I change the color of this to this. All right. What is this cell? This one I've selected over here.
G10.
Perfect. Now you understand. That is what we refer to as a cell. Okay? So you can see that a cell is an intersection of a row and a column. So that's one of the things you need to understand about Google Sheets. We also have something we refer to as sheet tabs. Now sheet tabs are found at the bottom, and it is sheet, S-H-E-E-T. Sawa? S-H-E-E-T. Don't tell your husband, nasoma sheets. Yeah, don't tell your wife, you don't listen to me, I'm in a class where we're studying sheets. Yeah, so we have something we refer to as sheet tabs. Sheet tabs are found at the bottom, and you can actually have multiple sheets in one file. So what do I mean? If you look at this particular place down here, there's something written sheet 1. You can have as many sheets as possible. Okay, so like for example, we can add a new sheet and say this is going to be sheet 2. And if I click down here, I can rename it and say, probably this sheet is going to be home, finances, planning. All right. Then I can move to this one and say that this one is probably going to be, I'm going to rename it and say personal, finances, planning. You can have as many sheets as possible. We can even add another one and say, another sheet. We just click on the plus sign over here and say, this is going to be sheet 3. Click over here and rename it, and we say business, finances, planning. Very, very easily. Okay. So the idea behind all this is that you can make as many sheets as possible in one spreadsheet. Okay. So that's the whole reason as to why you have a sheets bar. Okay. Now, let me proceed on, ladies and gentlemen. I have shown you cell A1. Now, we also have something, the ability to, something we, show them. Now, we also have basic navigation. For example, if you want to move from one cell to the other, you can select move. All right. You also have a second option, which is use arrow keys to move around. Like for example, there are arrow keys on your keyboard. So for those who might probably not be aware of arrow keys, let me show you arrow keys. Yeah. Arrow keys. They're mostly probably on the right hand side of your keyboard. Right? How many people can spot arrow keys on their computers? How many people can spot arrow keys on their keyboards? Okay. So if you have a keyboard that looks like this, they're probably going to be here. These are the arrow keys. Yeah. Move up, down, left, right. Good. So you can use them to move around. So I'm going to be using 1. You can see I'm easily able to move like this from one cell to the other. Move to the top, to the bottom, to the everything. You can actually get to do that pretty easily. We also have the ability to double click on a cell to edit its content. So like for example, if I'm in a cell, like I can come to cell A1 and type something, I can say names of students attending my classes. Names of the students. Yeah, we're going to have something like that. And then the good thing is that you have the ability to adjust. Like if you see this, imefika, you can just come at the top, adjust it and move this. Increase the size of one column, make it large. You can make it large. Or you can just double click. Yeah, when you see this sign, let me show you something over here. Let me zoom in. You're going to see something like this. Ladies and gentlemen, can you see that? Are you able to see that? Yeah. So if I double click like that, so if I do Control and Z and double click again, it increases the size of that particular column. Are we together, ladies and gentlemen? Right? So let me zoom out and reset this so that we are all able to see very well. So this is my spreadsheet. Let me proceed on, ladies and gentlemen. Control and Z. Like for example, if you want to undo, it's Control and Z, and Control and Y to redo. Like for example, if you realize you've made an error, you can redo. Okay? Good. If you come over here, like if you look at this is a row. If I come and right click on it, I can insert a row above, or I can come again, select it like this, just click here, right click and insert a row below. I can even select this row, right click on it and delete the row. If I want to clear the content in that row, I right click and I just click on clear row. I can select like this row, right click again and click on hide row. So it's not going to be visible. If I come right click again, I can sasa easy ni gani bwana. I can actually Control and Z. So let me right click again. And we have other various things. You can even resize the row. Yeah, if you want to make it bigger. Like for example, we can adjust the row height to 50 pixels and then we click on OK. And you can see it has become bigger. Or we can actually just come. Kwani nataka kupotea. Good. Can adjust it like this. Can adjust it like this. Make it bigger, make it smaller, depending on your preference. If you want to undo, click on Edit, Undo. Shortcut for that, Control and Z for Windows users, Command and S, Command and Z for MacBook users. For the guys who use MacBooks, you can use Command and Z. It sounds stronger. Yeah? Ili msikia mmeheshimiwa, Command and Z. Watu wa Windows, Control and Z. Tuko wengi, Control and Z. That's one thing to remember. For MacBook users, Command and Z. That works fine. So, let me proceed on, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you have the ability to zoom in and out. For example, if you want to zoom in, you can actually use the bottom right corner. Okay? Bottom, acha ni tengeneze vizuri. We have the bottom right corner. What is the bottom right corner? The bottom right corner is somewhere over here. Why is my computer misbehaving like this? Yeah. You're going to find something over here. Probably you'll find something over here. But if you want to zoom in very well, you just come and click over here and you probably zoom in to 125%, click 150%, click 20%. Okay? And now you can easily be able to have like a complete view of your sheet. That is basically your project that you're actually working on. So let me proceed on, ladies and gentlemen. ChatGPT said, now why is ChatGPT? Why is it telling me to hizi notes nilituma na haraka. I didn't check siku. You know, but it's not a problem anyway. Good. I want us to talk about some of the basic spreadsheet skills that you might need to learn. All right. Number one is entering data into spreadsheets. For example, you need to learn how to enter details. All right. So how many people want to tell me their age? How many people want to tell me their age? Type down. Do this. I'm going to take the first 5 people. Write your dummy name. Any name. Don't write your real name. Yeah. Don't write your real name. Wait. I have not said that everyone starts. Sasa mmeanza kama it's like a dating scene. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to try something over here. Data. I'm going to say name. That is going to be the first cell. Section B, I'm going to say age. And then I'm going to say marital status. Sawa. Is that good? So number 1, I will go with who? The first person who has written. Kevin Omondi, age 54. Are you single or married? You're going to see something interesting over here. Wamunyoro. Wamunyoro is 36 and is single. Another one. Sue. Okay, Sue is 43 and is happily divorced. Why am I laughing, Buana? Why am I laughing? Okay. Anyone else? Aunt Churi is saying it's complicated. John. John is 30 and he's married. John is 30, is married. Ameorewa. Mi nimeorewa. Yeah. We have Natasha. Natasha is 35 and is single. There's a meme I used to hear, something, Natasha. I don't know. Why have you said that? Mbona umetumia hiyo jina? So, we have Carol. Carol is 26 and is in a her marital status is very complicated. Someone else is calling themselves one term. One term is 58 and is married. We nani huyo anasema one term happily married? One term. at a technology. Someone is called technology, and they are 40 and they are still children. Okay. So let me zoom out to around like 125%. So this is an example of data. We've inputted data over here. Okay. So if I double click over here, I can organize my data properly. In fact, I can even come select these at the top. Like I can move. You see, let me show you something. We can select one cell, drag. When we are selecting this, we are doing a range of cells. A range of cells. The range of cells is going to be A1 all the way to C1. And you see it can select for you over here. And then we can actually make it bold. That is how you input data. And now, to complete it and make it like a properly input data, we can actually just come over here, select this, then we click on this tab over here, on this bar, to add some borders, and you're going to have something like that. And ladies and gentlemen, you've put in your first set of data. Are we together up to that point? Are we together? Perfect. Let's proceed on. Now, I think you also need to understand that you can change fonts. Like for example, you can select your data. All right. You can select your data and you have the ability to probably align it to the center over here. Align it to the right. Mostly you're going to align it to the left. And then you can decide whether you want to align it to the center of the cell. So this tab allows you to align to the center of the cell or to the bottom. So you can do align to the center of the cell. You can have something like that. We also have a tab over here. Like for example, if you want to merge two cells. Brief example. Let's say we want to merge this cell and this cell. So we select them. Like let's add some information and say something like, we are still children. So we have these two cell. This one is cell B10 and this is cell C10. So how do you merge these particular cells? All right. We select both of them and then we click on these two arrows over here to merge the cells. So now these two children have become together. They're no longer children, they are now adults. Okay? That's how you merge cells. Yeah. It's a very, very easy thing for you to do. So you want to change your font. Select your text in a very simplistic manner. Okay? And then you click over here and you can look for the font that you want to use. Let's select this font. We can use that font. Or we can move around, use this font. We can even reduce the font size by moving this like that. All right. Now merging is basically combining, Lillian. Merging is combining. Like for example, let me take your name, Lillian. Lillian Gore is a student in the classes. You can see that this information is in cell B12. Now we have two options. We can increase the size of this column up to that point, or let me Control and Z to undo, or I can select this cell number B12 and then you drag using my mouse and select cell B12 and C12, and then I come over here and click on merge cells. Okay, and then I can just adjust this a little bit so that it's visible. Now merging is going to save you, like for example, if you want to use two columns at the same time, you can actually get to use this. Now there are various formatting styles that you need to understand when you're using Google Sheets. Okay, brief example, we select Wamunyoro. We say we want to select this name Wamunyoro. We can do quite a number of things with Wamunyoro. We can change the color of the text to something like red over here. We can even decide to add a fill color, that is a background color. Click on it, we can make it green. Okay, if you want to change it to a different color, that is a color that you probably want to use, you can come over here and add a custom color. The custom tab is going to open something like this. This is what we refer to as a color picker. So you can move around it and select the color of your preference. Okay, right? You can rearrange it. You can rearrange it in any manner, and then you click on OK. And then you can even go ahead and change the color of the text like that. If you want to copy this style on other cells, you just select the cell, take this tool called the Format Painter, select it, and you drag like that. Ladies and gentlemen, are we together? So we first select this, we select the Format Painter, tunapeleka. What if we decided we want to change the color of cell A4 to cell C4? So when I select these cells like this, that is what we refer to as a range. A range is a selection of more than one cell. So I can select all of them from end to end like that and click on the fill color, and I decide that the background color is going to be this one. All right. So what if now I want this to have that red color? So what do? I select this first as it is, select the Format Painter, and I paint. Ladies and gentlemen, are we together up to that point? Perfect. We can even come, select the term age, and we can probably decide we want to use a different font. Now this one is going to be for you to do. Okay? All right. Now, let's be a little bit creative, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be a little bit creative. I want you to tell me, we're going to add something over here. Something, another title. We are going to say net worth. So, Wamunyoro, how much should Wamunyoro have in terms of money? Wamunyoro anaenda na, what is his net worth? Let's say 4,000 shillings. 2.3 million. Where? And the other one? Sue akona how much? You give me reasonable numbers. 500,000. The other one? 30,000. The other one? 500 bob. Hey, 500 bob ni pesa kidogo sana. Huyu hata hafai kuwa anaishi huyu. Wacha tumpe 25,000. 200,000. Another one to 3 trillion. 340,000. 275,000. Let me go with that. So now we've introduced numbers. Now let's say we can even change the font of all these particular cells. So how do you do that? You come, select all these cells. Have a look at that, ladies and gentlemen. And here's the best thing about Google Sheets. When you're selecting values, it is going to tell you the total amount of money on the left-hand side. How many people can see that, ladies and gentlemen? How many people can actually get to see this? Yeah. This is the best thing about selecting it. Now we can select these. We select all of them like that. Then we add some border outside and we change the font. Click down here and we use a font called Sora. We can reduce the font size just a little bit. Okay. Then we can add a fill color. The background color is going to be that one. And then the text color, yes, bottom right. Thank you, Curtis. Then the text color is going to be white. So then probably we can even select these and make it bold. Okay. So now, ladies and gentlemen, now these are values, money values. How many people can see something over here? There is something format as currency, format as percent, decrease decimal places, increase decimal places, formats. You can actually see more formats. Now these ones are formats, like for example, when you're dealing with money. So if I select this cell and click on this, it is going to be converted into a currency. And you're going to see it's going to be like that. Now, what if I click on more formats, all right? I click on more formats and then I say accounting. Yeah, let me click on more formats and select what? I want to select what? Let me say I want to select financial. You see it's already coming out nicely. I can select these cells, dragging like this. All right, I drag them like that. Click over here and then I say I want to make them financial, and you see it's already done. Ladies and gentlemen, are we still together up to that point? Are we still together? Now let's introduce a very, very interesting thing. Let's introduce calculations. All right, we want to introduce calculations. We want to calculate. All right, good. Someone was asking what? There was someone who was asking an interesting question. But anyway, so let's say we want to get the total of all these down here. So how do you do that, ladies and gentlemen? You want to do this. For example, we want the total over here. So what we will do is we will come and look for something very, very specific. Who can actually guess what you're going to be looking for? Anyone? Anyone who can actually tell me what we are looking for? We are looking for sum. Exactly. Who wants to guess where it is? Who wants to guess? Okay. Click on insert a function. If you click over here, select the cell where you want the total to be, insert, and then you want to select function, and then you want to select sum. So now the sum is going to be from this. You select all these cells up to that point, and then you click on enter, and your total is actually going to be there. Okay, the total is just going to be here. So first of all, let me do something. Let me delete this. Insert function sum. All right, let me do it. Let me redo it again. Insert function, then you select sum, and then we select what? These cells like that. And then once you're done, you hit enter or return on your keyboard, and then you get your sum over there. That's how you do it. Okay, now we can even decide to do another formula. We can select our data. All right, then we click on insert, then you say function, and you want to get an average. What's the average? When you select average, it's going to show you the average salary. Then you hit enter. It's going to calculate for you. That is the average. So what has happened is that it has divided. It has added all the values over here. It has added all the values. And after adding all the values, it has divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's check if the math is right. We select this, all right? The sum is 3.67 million. So let's do it. I'm going to open my computer. I'm going to search for oh, my computer is already on. Why am I opening it? So I'm going to type in 3,670,000 divide by 7. and it's going to tell me it's 524.28 point. It's a very, very long nini, but you can see the answer is the same. Okay. What is the difference between sum and count? Now count is just going to count. Let me show it to you. Let's select this. And then we click on what? We click on insert. Then we click on function. And then we say count. And then we hit enter. All right. That is how you actually get to count. So it's the same thing. Let's see if we can count all this. Insert function. Then we say count. And then we hit enter. You can already see. But mostly you're going to find yourself using sum and all the others. Okay. So count is like frequency. Thank you for that, Elizabeth. Asante. So let me proceed on, ladies and gentlemen. We've done a few things over here. Oh, by the way, you can also delete a cell. Remember that. Like, for example, let's say you're done with this. You select it, right click, and you can say delete cells. Delete everything, and you're going to have something like that. You can select this, delete it using hitting backspace on your keyboard. Select this, delete, like that. Okay? That's one of the things that you can actually get to do. So those are very, very important things that you can actually get to do. We've covered quite a number of these. Good. I want us to do something over here using now some realistic information. We're going to use a table over here. This has been created in Google Docs. The notes that you're looking at have been created using Google Docs. So we are going to use this sample data. So what is this sample data? The sample data that we're working with at the moment is of 3 students. Sorry, we have how many students? We'll work with this very simple data. We have a student. So we have James, Mary, Ahmed, Anita, and Brian. So let me select this table as it is. Remember, one thing, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is you can easily be able to transfer data in a table to Excel or Google Sheets. So I can just come, copy this, select it like that, right click, and then click on copy. And then I can come over here. You see, I was working on this sheet, as you can see. Ladies and gentlemen, are you able to preview my screen? Are you able to see my screen? I was working on this sheet. Now, I just need to click over here. Okay? So for now, I will select all these. And what do I want to do? I can even delete this sheet. So I can click on this drop down and I click on delete. And then I click on OK. So we'll be able to delete that sheet like that. Now, we've selected this data in this particular table. I'm going to right click on it, copy it, come to Google Sheets, right click, paste. And you can see all the data has been pasted over here. So we have the title number 1 is student. We can make it bold. English, maths, bold. Okay. And we can come over here and see. Let's do some functions. All right. Like the first thing is we want to get the total marks for English and maths. We want to get the total marks for English and maths. Yeah, we are still in sheets. Listen, ladies and gentlemen. One of the things that we are doing is that I shared some notes with you. Did you guys get the notes? Did you get the notes? Now the notes are what is guiding us. Now the notes have been prepared on Google Docs. We are not using Google Docs really. We are just using the information on Google Docs because that is the best way I could have used to present the document. Are we together, ladies and gentlemen? Namkwe wa janja aki. Namkwe wa janja. You know, I'm here to janjarusha you. Yeah? Yeah? It's important for you to know how to use these particular softwares. Like if someone told you to use Google Docs and Google Sheets pamoja, don't shed tears, eh? Don't shed tears. Now you use Google Docs for documentation. Google Sheets is for spreadsheets. Are we together? All right? So we are getting information from Google Docs. And we are using this information, all right? We are getting the information from Google Docs, Let me repeat that, because that is where we have the outline of what we are covering tonight. And then we are actualizing the information on Google Sheets. Now, unfortunately, Google Sheets is not able to hold this information in this manner. So that is why I'm using Google Docs. Okay? You can even use your own information. Or, in fact, let's do something very simple. You can even go to deepseek.com. All right? And you change it to English. And then we change it, we open a new chart like this. Now, Catherine, assuming Catherine is an English teacher, or let's say she's a teacher. I want you to show you something about using DeepSeek. You can say something like, you are a primary school teacher who is supposed. Mutukuzi, umetupenda sana. Si kwanza utulize mapenzi na makofi na emoji. Mutuku, kwani umefurahia aje na hizi emoji? Umetuwekea mapenzi, umetupigia makofi, umekasirika. We don't even understand your feelings. I hope we are not hurting your feelings. Umeweka emoji mingi sana. Are you trying to communicate? Ama the Subaru guys have got kidnapped you and you're trying to show us some signs. You are a primary school teacher who is supposed to present student results on 6 subjects. Tulisoma nini? Science, Kiswahili. Did we have GHC? How many people did GHC? I know Gen Zs will not understand what GHC is. How many people did GHC? Gen Zs are probably wondering, what are those things? Yeah. GHC was a combination of CRE. Geography, History, CRE. Let me explain that. GHC. Okay, let me use English that you understand. Social studies. Maths. Tulisoma nini ingine? What other thing did we study? Oh, English. Okay. We will say let's say you have 24 students. Good. Generate names, let's say Kenyan names of the students and the results per student. Okay? Okay, let me do home science then. Per student in the form of a table. Then we hit enter. So what is going to happen is that DeepSeek is going to try and get like information that they can actually get to use. So we have student name Wanjiko Muloni, Kipchoge Rono, Auma Athiambo. It's going to create data that you can actually get to use. Have a look at that. Yeah, it's going to generate dummy data for you that you can get to use. Yeah, very, very, very nice data that you can use for Excel. You can even create financial statements with it. So let's generate all that information and see what we are able to get. Okay. Someone was asking about range. Okay. Someone had actually asked about range. Yeah. How many students? Range. So it is still generating the total. Okay. Now, since all this data is what we are actually going to be trying to cover, someone was asking about filtering. Let's just continue with this first. So, good. The information has already been generated. Let me click on copy. I'll copy all this. All right. Copy that. Come over here. I'm going to delete all this data for now, and then remove these borders. Let me undo. Control and Z to undo everything. And then let me zoom out to around, zoom in to this. Then I right click and paste all that information. Kwani kumeendaje hii bwana? What has happened? So this is a table. Itaweza kukopi kweli? Good. Copy that and then paste that information. Perfect. You can see. So we have student names and the rest. blah, blah, blah. And then, like for example, I don't think we need this entire column. So you can just click over here, right click, and then we can click on delete column. So that we do away with it. Yeah. Curtis, ati tumesema tukitaka increase. Let me engage you now. Let me start engaging you. Curtis, ati when I want to increase this, what should I do? Increase the size of this column. What should I do? Curtis, so you unmute your microphone.
Oh, hello.
Uh-huh. Kwani sauti imeenda wapi leo?
Nimegonjeka kidogo.
Oh, kuna hoba itiragase.
Mimi siko kwa hizo mambo.
Okay, umeokoka. So what should I do?
Which column?
I want to increase the size of this column. Nafaa kufanya nini? Curtis ame left.
You double click.
Double click. Abdi Nasir amesema to double click hapa. Perfect. Double click over there. Thank you. Good. So you can do something like that. Now, in fact, you can even come and select this row, all right, and make it bold. Sawa. Or, in fact, if you select all these like this, you can select all the data, you can select it like this. And you can see something like social studies is bigger than the rest. Home science is a little bit bigger. If you select all the data and you just double click on one, like that, you just continue like that. It's going to be so easy for you to know. Yeah. Instead of having to adjust like this, moving like that, just double click like that, double click, depending on where you want the data to be. So we have student name, science, Kiswahili, social studies, maths, CRE, English, home science. Okay. We want to select all these information. Let's select all these information. All right. Up to this particular point probably. And we can add some borders. Borders. Select like that. Now we can even change the font. Click over here. I can decide to use this font called Inter. And then I can reduce the font size just a little bit to have something like that. I can change the color of the text to black. Ladies and gentlemen, are we still together? Are we still together? Perfect. Now the biggest question is, we want to know the average score. We want to know the average score. Someone wants us to center them. Select all that like that. Click over here. Align to the center. Okay? So this is going to happen, like for example, if you adjust the size of this, you're going to realize that the information is going to remain at the center. You're going to have something like that. All right? So if you want to add borders, select this. Up to that point, even here. Then there is this tab over here written borders. You can decide to have all borders. You can have inner borders, horizontal borders, vertical borders. For me, I like to have borders everywhere. So for now, let me take this back over there. So now the biggest question you want to understand is, you want to know how many people used to have class 1A, class 1B, class 1C, right? And then you used to wonder, you used to hear your mean score is 354, right? So, like for example, let's say we want to calculate mean scores. Like we can add a tab over here. Like you can add some space and say mean scores. Okay? The mean score, like for example, if we want to calculate the mean score in science, we just want to come down here, click mean scores, or we can highlight the cells in science. Select all these. Up to that point, we want to select all or let me just come over here. In fact, you can make this bold. Acha kwanza tuifanye ikuwe bold. We make it bold like that. Then we come and click inside over here. And then we click on insert function. And what do we want to do? We first of all want to get the average. So what is the average? The mean score. Average So the average of which cells? We want to select from here all the way tushuke mpaka wapi? Mpaka hapa. To Chelagat. And then we hit enter. The mean score is 81.75. Right? Ladies and gentlemen, are we together? Then we can come again over here to the next cell, and then we say insert function average. Okay? The average is going to be this all the way up to this point. This one is for which subject? For Kiswahili, they were able to get 79.291. That was a mean score. Okay? Now, we don't have to do the same thing all through. Wangapi wanaona there is a circle people are seeing. How many people are able to see? Like, for example, let me get it right. How many people can see this thing over here? There's a circle you can see over here. I want you to see what happens. There's something we refer to as autofilling. If you select it and you drag, now what has happened, ladies and gentlemen, it has calculated the mean of social studies. I want you to see that. Nimepeleka social studies. Have you seen? Next subject is maths. Move. Look at that. Maths. Move again. CRE 81. You move again. English. Select, move again. Home science. All that. Very, very fast. Sawa. Then we can add something like another tab, highest score. We want to know who scored the highest. Sindio? We want to know who scored the highest. Now, the highest, we select, we make it bold. Now, over here, I'll click on insert function, and then I'm going to get the maximum. From here, all the way to here. Enter, select all that, and then hit enter. The highest score was 95. Who was it? Chebet Langat. Ladies and gentlemen, are we still together up to that point? Are we still together? Are we still together? I want to know if we're still together. Good. Next thing that we can do is we can also come over here, insert, function, all right? Then we say maximum. The maximum is going to be this. We select those cells and then we hit enter. So the highest score in Kiswahili was 91. By who? We look for 91. 91 was Wairimu Gadhoni. Now instead of doing all this same case, we just drag like this. So it's going to give us high scores for each and every one of them. What if we wanted to get the lowest score? We click over here, then we say lowest score. Okay. Lowest score, we select this. Let me make this bold. Select this, insert, function, then we select minimum. Minimum. So it's going to check from all these range what was the minimum score. Then we hit enter. The minimum score was 65. Now instead of having to do this again, we autofill. You can see. Yeah, you can actually you can put in this information manually. Like for example, if you want to calculate the sum, you can just select this. There is an equal sign on your keyboard. Enter, hit the equal sign, and then you say sum. Okay? And then you can probably now add opening brackets. So the sum is going to be from this cell, B2, you add a semicolon, sawa, up to this cell ya mwisho. This cell is going to be B25. But it's sometimes a little bit hard, so I normally prefer that people get to do it themselves manually. Now, for the mean scores, we can select all these up to that point and add a fill color. We can add the fill color to be that one. And then the text color, we select it over here, and then we make it red. White, sorry. Highest score, we select all the way from these up to this end. Fill color, we use this green. Okay? And then we click on text color, we make it white. Or we can use a different color, like this one. Now, the lowest score, let's add some borders over there. We can add a red color, sorry. Let me select this up to that point. Fill color is going to be red, and then the text color is going to be white. You can have something like that. Ladies and gentlemen, are we still together? Are we still together? Tuko pamoja? We can zoom out to around 75%. Now you can see your data is really coming out. Okay? Now we can add another tab over here, written total marks. Now the total marks, total marks is going to be the total of each student. Science, Kiswahili, Social Studies, Maths, CRE, English, Home Science. So we click over here, insert. We want to add a what? A function. What is it? We can add a sum. The sum is going to be from this cell. Select, 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 select. Then we hit enter. And then here's the best thing about Google Sheets. It is going to autofill for you. So we hit enter. Ladies and gentlemen, are we still together up to that point? Najua mulikuwa mmengojea kuona 294, 293, 400, 215, 264. Yeah? Right? That's the best thing that you can actually get to do. Now, you might be wondering, you want to sort the data according to performance. Na hiyo ndio kitu inakuanga inanichanganya sana. Alright? Yeah. Let me see. This is one of the things that has really bothered me the most. Like organizing the data according to the performance. Alright? So let me select all that data and then click on data. That's interesting. That was not really what I anticipated. So we want to organize this data. Who can help us? Who can help me? Leo ni kama nimelemewa. Leo nimelemewa. Anyone who wants to give it a guess? So what I have done, let me repeat that for someone who is saying they have not gotten what I've done. Let me delete this formula. I want to calculate the total marks. Okay? So, the first thing I've come to this particular cell and clicked on insert, function, sum. Selected like this is a range, up to that point, and then hit enter. And automatically, Google Sheets has been able to understand that you are doing calculations of the mean scores. Then we hit enter. Good. That's how we've done it, actually. Sema kimeumana. Hakijaumana. Let me show you. How can I sort the data in Google Sheets? How can I sort the data in Google Sheets from the highest performer to the lowest. Wacha nikuonyeshe. Nasema kimaumano. Kimaumano. Now, to sort it, number 1, sort by average score. Add an average column. Drag the formula down to apply to all students. Average. Average is normally. See, to calculate the total. Select all the data, including the headers, by clicking on data sort range. Let's do it. I want to show you something. This is something I never knew. So it's come along. Someone was asking that question. I've selected data. And then we've been told to select what? Data, sort range, advanced range options. Data, sort range, advanced range options. Then we do what? Check data has a header row. Sort by average. Choose Z to A. Data has, then we say Z to A, and then we click on sort. Sasa imepanga aje inayo. Oh, okay. This is interesting. It should be the highest student. Or, I think, what if we selected this data only this, and then we said data, set range, advanced, then we sort. Okay. From the highest, okay. What if we said we have a tab? Ukilemewa pia ukikwama, akili ikikwama, you have to try as many times as possible. We can say something like, you included highest, average, and lowest. True. Select the data range. Filter. Okay. What if we said here are the total scores for all the students? How can I sort the data to have the highest student, highest performing student at the top? Let's see. Now, this is where school information management systems actually come in. To sort the data from the highest to lowest based on follow these steps in Google. Add a total marks column. Select the data range, assuming the 24 students. Okay, let me see. So we have this new column. You are using the wrong column. Okay, all right. Accountants ndio wanatumianga hii kitu sana. True, is it accountants? Yeah, total marks, perfect. Now Z to A, let's click on sort. Bado. Filter. Nimekwama. That is going to be your homework for the day. Anyway. Now, the most interesting thing is that we have Gemini over here. Why is Gemini telling me to pay and I already pay for it? Refresh this page. So let me try and do something over here. To filter, you have to highlight all the headers. That thing has bothered me for the... Tusumbuane mpaka saa 3 nayo. Google Sheets is very, very tricky. What if you sort from A to Z? You see the problem? If you sort from A to Z... okay. If we select that... and... click on data, and then we click on sort sheet, and then we say A to Z. At least it's making sense now. Yeah, because now it's showing the highest student. Good. Perfect. Now I get it now. select that data as it is, click on data, sort, advanced range, and then we say sort by student name. No, we don't want to sort by student name. We want to sort by total marks, and then we click on sort. Imeingiana bwana, imeingiana. I have selected all the data. There's an accountant who's helped us. I have selected all the data, clicked on data, sort ranged, and then I've clicked on advanced range options. Then I have said there's a data, has a header row, and I want to sort the data by the total marks. And then I want to sort from Z to A. Then click on sort. Ndio hiyo. Makofi. So now we have the first student. Her name is Chelangat Jepkorir. She has 645 marks. Okay. So this is a very, very interesting thing. And the lowest student has 482 marks. Yeah. In fact, like for example, yeah, makofi tena. Kuna mtu anasema tupige makofi tena. Yeah. Good. So yeah, I think that's pretty amazing. Something that you can easily get to do. Then you can even click on print over here. And you can go ahead and print this. Now, this is how things used to be printed back in the day. Yeah. You used to go and check. Nani, number one ni nani? Number one ni nani? It's Chelagat. Oh, guy. Ochieng Odhiambo, the newcomer kona niyo mwisho. Oh, now you can see. Okay. So, yeah, that's something that you can actually get to do. You can print like a current sheet, and you can even do the formatting and everything. Click on next. If you have a printer, you can go ahead and do it. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, are we together up to that point? Are we together? Now, that's just a brief introduction to Google Sheets. Now, let me show you something over here. Someone is telling me to add the font kindly. So, edit. Sorry. I'm going to select everything like this. All right. Increase the font size. I can increase the font size or even change the font to something else. All right. I don't like that font. It looks very. Let me go back to my previous font. Yeah. We can have something like that. Someone is saying they cannot see my screen. Ladies and gentlemen, can you see my screen? Ladies and gentlemen, can you see my screen? Good. So that was just a very brief introduction into how we can use that data. What if, let me show you something. What if we wanted to create like a home financial plan? All right. Let's say we want to create a budget. Now tell ChatGPT to do something like this. You are a financial expert. Prepare an in-depth financial plan for a lady called Lillian. How much money do you make, Lillian? Give me an hypothetical amount of money, even if it's 1 million. For a lady called Lillian. Curtis, where was he, Lillian? Yeah. Prepare an in-depth financial plan for a lady called Lillian who earns Kenya shillings 100,000 a month. Make it in form of a table. Then we hit enter. Someone is saying 2 million. 2 million. Detailed financial plan for Lillian's financial plan, 100,000 Kenyan shillings income. So she has expenses and the rest, 8%. Allah. Okay. This is like so good. Loan repayment. Dining out and entertainment. Wow. I mean, this is so awesome, by the way. This is so awesome. Wow. Okay. Let's make it a little bit clever, right? Let's be a little bit clever. Okay. So this is an example of a financial plan. So this is the spreadsheet. Like I'll name my spreadsheet and say student performance in class. Then we hit enter. So I'm just going to click over here on this tab. And then I'm going to click on the plus sign over here. And I'm going to paste that information. Right click. Someone was asking about paste special. Paste special only pastes the values only. You can see it's very special. Yeah. So if I click on edit and then I click on paste, you can see how that paste looks like. If I click on edit and then I click on paste special, I can paste values only, formats only, formula only. For me, I like to use values only. That's what I need. So we have, so we're going to rename this. I'm going to double click over here, double click again, double click again. So good. I mean, this is pretty cool. Now we will be a little bit clever with this. I'm going to select all of that and make it a table with borders. Increase the font size. Now when you have the paid version of Google, that is basically, for me, I normally have Google One. I can select the data and convert it into a table, and I want you to see how it converts it to a table. It's going to convert it into something like that. Okay, this is the role of Gemini. Okay, Gemini is pretty good. Now we can introduce some mathematics. Okay, we can introduce some mathematics into this. Yeah, it doesn't show on the phone. I don't think I would recommend you use Google Sheets on the phone. Mostly I would recommend you use on computer. You know, I think phones are a little bit limited. Can you convert the data into a chart? Yeah, you can, but you see that is advanced Excel. But let me try something for you, and someone is probably looking for a chart. Yeah, let's select all these data. Let's select all these data. Let me select all these. Up to that point. Data. I think you have, where is it? Insert a chart. You can be able to create a chart from this particular table like that. You can change the chart style over here. Okay. We can change it in any manner. Standard. The title is going to be, probably, if you want to check science, how much was the scores, you can actually get to use something like that. You can change again to CRI. Okay. This is going to be an entire series. You can customize it over here. That is, change your chart style. But these ones are actually going to come in when, like, you're doing advanced. So when you're doing advanced Excel, right? So I can even select like this data. I can select like this data and come and click on insert and then click on chart. This one is for the mean scores now. Okay, you can see it's going to show me the mean scores. It's very easy. You can actually be able to create a chart that you can use to track. Mostly this one you're going to find with students. Yeah. Right. Let me see if we can do something else. Like we want science. Select, insert. Sorry, not a pivot table. Chart of the students' performance in science. You can see. All right. So this one, like for example, if you want to compare the performance last month, yeah. If you want to compare the performance, you know, it's so easy for you to actually get to use charts. But that one mostly as a beginner, that one you can actually get pole in advanced Excel. All right. So let me go back to this. We are creating a financial planner for Lillian that you can also get to edit. Okay. Number one, we have essential expenses. Allocation is 50,000 Kenyan shillings. What if we created like an entire formula? Now, instead of saying this, let me show you something over here. We come and add a tab over a very simple column. We say this one is going to be called salary. Let's be a little bit clever. In fact, let me undo all this so that we have our own thing. Okay, so I'm going to select all these. Tuifanye ikue hivyo, and we hit this to double space, this again to double space. Category, make it bold. Percentage, make it bold. Allocation, make it, add some spacing basically. And then you have notes. Now, what if we wanted all these to be calculated automatically? So we can add, let me show you something over here. Let's be a little bit clever. We say we add a tab over here called salary, and then we add a value of 100,000. 100,000. This is 100,000. And then we can select it. Let me select it and make it like a financial number. Hello, Elvis. What is the difference between DeepSeek and ChatGPT? For me, I like using both of them. They're very good. Like as a beginner, use DeepSeek. You don't have to pay money. But for me, I use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is quite good for me. All right. Good. Yeah. Did you get me, ladies and gentlemen? ChatGPT is honestly very, very good. DeepSeek is very good for an introduction. So, like, let's say we wanted to do mathematics. Like 50% of the salary is supposed to be 50,000 Kenyan shillings. All right? This is the amount of money that needs to be here. I want you to look at all this. What if we changed this? We deleted all this data. We deleted all that data. And we said, we convert these values. Like for example, there is something that allows you to convert this into percentage. So we select all this up to this point and we change this to percentage values. Sawa. Ladies and gentlemen, are we together? Up to that point. Now, we say for the allocation for essential expenses, the allocation of essential expenses is going to be what? Here's where you introduce a formula. You can introduce a formula. The formula is going to be equals to what? This amount, all right, multiplied. Now, the multiplication sign when it comes to your computer is this one called, it's an asterisk, that one. Okay? And then you want it to be a percentage of 100,000. And then you do what? After selecting, you hit enter. And it's going to do the calculation for you like that. Very fast. Same case. You come over here. You want to calculate the amount of money needed for rent. A decent 1 to 2 bedroom in Nairobi outskirts. We click over here. We hit equals on the keyboard to introduce a formula. And then we select the value 15%. And then we add the asterisk to multiply by the salary of 100,000. And then we hit enter. Na sasa tukifanya hii, it is not still working because the formula has not been set all through. So let's do this. 5% of 100,000 shillings. We come, let's see if this is actually going to work. It's not going to work yet. So this one, the formula is going to be very, very simple. 5% of 100,000 equals this times this. And then we hit enter. Ladies and gentlemen, are we still flowing together? Tuko pamoja? Equals this times this. And then we hit enter. Equals this times this. Hit enter. Now here's the sweetest thing about all this. If I come and change the value to 200,000, I want you to see what happens. Let me change it to 150,000. Wacha uone. All the calculations are going to be done again, automatically. Now, if I come and select these again and make the values like 720,000 Kenyan shillings, and then I hit enter, you can see. So let me continue with that. Healthcare equals this times the salary over here. Or you don't even have to, like for example, if you want to deal with a specific value, you can do that. But for me, I like to have the number, the salary on a different place. We do that continuously. Equals this multiplied by this, and then we hit enter. We add the equal sign again to begin the formula. This times this, and then we hit enter. Yeah, equals this. There's a fast way to do this, but let me just show it to you so that you can do it by yourself. Equals this, sorry, this, where am I? Niko wapi bwana? Hapa. It's going to be, yeah, you can autofill, but it's not going to be right because you see the number is going to be different. You see, when you autofill, it's not going to be right because this is going to be like the constant value that you're working with, such that if you changed the value to something like 50,000, the calculations will be automatic, right? So if you change the value again to something like 500,000, automatic. So we can move on. Equals this multiplied by this value over here. Equals that multiplied by this. So don't be afraid of doing this as a beginner. Atedo. Short term. Hey. What was that? Equals this one multiplied by this. That was a lot of money. Percentage multiplied by that amount of money. So equals this multiply by, someone is saying they are very small. So it's going to be what? And in fact, this one is cell F2. So we can come over here and say this one is going to be equals to this multiplied by cell F2, and then we hit enter. This is going to be equals to this to cell C15. Okay, let me repeat that. Cell 15 by cell F2, this one. This particular cell that we had over here of our salary. Okay, then again we add the equal sign, percentage, multiplication. The multiplication sign you can hit shift and 8 on your keyboard and you can add it over there. It's also called an asterisk, I don't know why. Then we hit the value and then we hit enter. Okay, equals again this multiplied by that, and then we hit enter. Equals again this multiplied by this, and then we hit enter. Equals again to this multiplied by this, and then we hit enter. Equals again to this percentage multiplied by this, and then we hit enter. Equals again to this multiplied by this, and then we hit enter. Equals to this multiplied by this, and then we hit enter. And then now if you want to get the total, let's delete this number, and then we click on insert, and then we say what? We want to insert a function, which is a what? A sum. From here all the way to here. And then we hit enter. At 1 million. What do you mean 1 million? Essential expenses. Financial goals. There has to be a problem. How is it coming to 1 million Kenyan shillings? B2, this one is B2 to B22. Okay, let me change this to a, now this is a good thing about 100,000. Hey, when you do 10,000, 50%, 15%. Let me see. I think there is a problem over here. Let me add that. 200%. That is why. Financial goals, 30%. Oh, goodness. I know what we have done. We are calculating even this one over here. So let me delete that value, and let me delete that value, and let me delete this value and this value, and what else? Debt repayment. Let me delete this value, and also delete this one over here. Because now, if you look at this, these are the various classifications. So let me insert a row above so that we separate that. Select that, insert a row above. Select this and also insert a row above so that we have a bit of a different classification. I want you to see, this is now, let's bolden this, essential expenses. Then this one is going to be financial goals, debt repayment, leisure and lifestyle. Now in total we are at, see, iko sawa. Let me change this salary to C. Let me change the salary to 235,000 to C. And you can see it's adding up to 235,000 over here. So essential expenses are supposed to take 50%. So if you add this, all right, if you actually come over here and click on insert, and then you insert a function, and we add a sum, that should lead us to 50%. Okay? That's the thing. So it's important for you to remember this. So at the moment, if you're earning 235,000 Kenyan shillings, your rent should be 35,250. Wow. Okay. Utilities, 11,750. Groceries, 28,000. Hey, kwani mtu anatengeneza 20,000. How much should they be spending on rent? Wow, 3,000 shillings. So you find someone has 20,000 shillings, but is living in a 12,000 shillings house. That's quite interesting. Like, for example, what if you change the value to, if you make 650,000 shillings every month, how much in rent should you pay? You should pay 97,500 Kenyan shillings. 15% of your salary. Wow. Okay. Toiletries. You need to spend 13,000 shillings for shopping. Emergency fund, 3 to 6 months. Okay. Yeah, this is quite interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, are we still together up to that point? I really hope you've learned something from all this when it comes to using Google Sheets. Okay? Like an example, you can also create another example. Like, for example, this one is Lillian's. Yeah? Lillian's personal finance tracker. Let me share it with you so that you can use it. So let me share it with you guys so that you can even get to use it. Just change the value and input your salary. Yeah. Now I don't know. You just copy the information over there. Yeah. Let me copy the information over. Let me send you that file so that you can get to use it. Yeah. I've shared. Let me share it here on the WhatsApp group so that you are able to access that particular document. So what if, like, for example, let's say you have a car loan. Okay. You have a vehicle loan that you want to repay. And you want to probably organize your car payments. Like, for example, let's say you'll say you are a financial expert. I take out a car loan for Lillian, what is your favorite car? What is your favorite car? You can actually write it in the chat section. What is your favorite vehicle? The Brabus. Mercedes Benz, okay. A Mercedes Benz C200. Let's say a C250. And or let's do E-Class. E250. I am supposed to make monthly payments for the car for a period of, let's say, 48 months through financing with an increase in premiums of, let's say, 10% after every month, after every 3 months. So if you're paying 100,000 every month, Then maybe after every 3 months, you're supposed to increase your payment premium by 10%. That is going to be 120%. So let's say the car is valued at Kenya shillings 5.6 million. All right, that is the value of the vehicle. I don't know if that's the value. Yeah. So create a payment plan that I can use. Then we hit enter. So here's a detailed 48 monthly. It's already 9:12. We should be winding up. Payment breakdown. So period. The first 3 months, you're going to be paying 147,000 Kenyan shillings, calculated via loan amortization. You can see it's going to be so specific for you. Okay. In fact, with this, you can see how fast this has done this information for you. Now it's easy for you to copy this into Excel and just format it. Like for example, the total payment is going to be where? Okay. That's quite interesting. I didn't know this. But this is how you can generate data that you can use for your Google Sheets. Like if you want to organize the information and just use it for your own learning, you can get the information directly on DeepSeek. So, ladies and gentlemen, how many people have learned something new tonight? How many people have learned something new tonight? Yeah, like now if we save this, if we change the salary to something like 783,000, I want you to see how the values change. You can see how fast it changes. Yeah. So you can use this. You can use this for your own personal tracking. Yeah. You can use this. So someone is asking about pie charts. Well, those ones, first of all, ignore them. The first most important thing is to understand how to use the most basic tools when it comes to you utilizing Google Sheets. And ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our session tonight and our sessions this week. We have 3 more sessions to go next week to Malize. Good. Perfect. It's already 9:14 p.m. Thank you so much for everyone being part of this particular session. I really hope you've learned something and actualize this information. All right. When I print, you need to select your data first. Print. Ndio hii yangu. No, you don't even need to select actually. If you click on this print tab, you can see already. You can even select, like for example, you can print a selected cell. You want to select a sheet. Portrait or landscape, depending on your preference. Fit, you can say normal, 100%. Or you can say fit to height. Most of the time is you want to select fit to width. All right. How about adding a new sentence? You just, like when you finish writing, you just hit enter and it moves to the next cell like that. You're most welcome. Mine doesn't paste using the menu unless I use the control. Yeah, just use control and V. Yeah. Control and V is okay. Control and V is okay. Learn how to use shortcuts. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being part of the session tonight. I really hope you've learned something. Good. Perfect. You're most welcome. So let's bring the session to an end at that. But adding a sentence in the same... No, you don't use sentences in cells. Like Google Sheets doesn't mostly do sentences. It does very short statements. You cannot use sentences in a Google Docs. These are Google Sheets. Yeah, you cannot type, my salary was 15,000 shillings and then I wanted... You will type. When you hit enter, that's how. Google Sheets is meant for short form, short data, not very long data. That's one thing you have to remember. Perfect. What I meant yesterday was your Facebook used to speak to me and has, oh, most welcome. Yeah, but they use Facebook. I think Facebook is a very good platform. Yeah. Facebook is a great platform, by the way. Yeah. So, use it generally. It's a very, very good platform that you can actually get to use. So normally I post a lot on Facebook, yeah? It's good. Today we were leo tumepigia polisi makelele kidogo. where we were using the platform to make a lot of noise regarding arrests. Oh, wow, this post has really done so well. 1,000 likes. We're trying to tell police officers that if you want to arrest someone, wear uniform. Want to arrest people in plain clothes. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. See you in next week's session on Monday. Asante.